Hey, Spectrostormer, RG Alliance, it's me, Spectros1000 here, coming to a video. In this video, I am turning more MHA characters into dragons. In this video, I turn Shoto Aizawa, Hitoshi Shinzo, Endeavor, aka NJ Todoroki or Endeavor, and twice, all into dragons. I turn Hitoshi and Shinjo, Aizawa and Shinjo into Wyverns, and then, sadly, I turn Endeavor into a full-on dragon. Just makes sense, and then I turn twice into a Drake. For the pose on that one, I was trying something different. I might not use that one again, but if I do, I might improve it. But, it looks okay to me. Now, without further ado, let's roll intro and let's get into this video. Let's go. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Okay, it's been a while since I went over some dragons that can only be found in Japan. One of the last ones I went over was the Crackling Draku, but before that, those were the 7 Deadly Sin dragons. Another type. They're more or less based off animals. These are also found in Japan, but also have weird abilities, just like the other ones. They're biological and they are quite weird. The first one I'm looking at is a creature known as the Power Stopping Sight Wyvern, or Power Stopping Wyvern. This Wyvern is actually mostly known to be a, sleepy Wyvern, actually. It has claws on its feet to actually, hook up and sleep in a tree. It's literally been able to find and sleep anywhere. One time, a small one actually was found sleeping in someone's attic. So, yeah. But when they're awake, they are more or less a night owl of sorts of the dragon species in Japan. By that, I mean they're most active at night, but they can be active during the day. It just appears that they are always tired. But their size might be quite large for a wyvern, and they have around a 30-foot wingspan. So that size might be thinking that might be an accurate pretty slow wyvern. Where in reality, do not let the size fool you. These things are strong as frick. Due to their abilities, they can actually stop the power of a Crackling Draku and able to beat him in hand-to-hand combat. So, yeah. But you can't forget about another thing. Another thing they have is some type of tendril or thing on their tail. Like most wyverns, they have a tail, but instead of barbs and poison, they have tendrils on it. Very similar to one of the first few dragon species I went over. Those tentacle Renaku dragons I was going over. Those things were ugly and very powerful. Those are actually some of the first Wyverns I went over. But anyways, back to what I was saying. These tendrils can actually be used as projectiles. Not really projectiles, but have a near infinite range. And they have been cut off, but they've also been found to be pretty hot. And looking into it, there's actually a near microscopic hole, but can be seen from the human eye, with heat running through it. People have caused heat to go through it, and then some type of neodymium transmitter of sorts. They mostly used either that kind of tech or the magical powers some people have for pyrokinesis. They used that and then used it with their mind and actually managed to control it. So, what I think, and it's actually been proven that I was right. People were actually surprised that I was right about something because they think my job is worthless. Seriously, then why do so many people call me when there's a dragon problem? But, like I was saying, turns out they have a little, pyrokinesis gland, but it's actually relatively weak. Not strong enough to cause a huge fire, but strong enough to actually bend a malleable metal of sorts. And it's only triggered when they are fighting an opponent that's actually far stronger than them in height. But since these are biological metal, actually. So they are able to lift up dragons that are really tall and really big. Literally, I've seen, well, not really seen myself, but I have heard and witnessed actually one take on a Charger Fox Sage, which is a true dragon and it's really big. And it just utterly annihilated it. Since it was such a big creature, it had to use its power stopping sight. Cancel out its abilities, but still, it was a pretty big dragon. But it then used its tail, lifted it up into the air, and then slammed it into a nearby mountain. The thing was unconscious. Ugh. I am just surprised at how powerful that thing was. Let's get to the next one. Now, these next ones are actually sometimes abandoned as a kid, but then sometimes actually adopted or taken care of by the previous one I went over. These are known as the brainwashing voice changer Wyvern, or the brainwashing Wyvern. The reason why they give their middle name the voice changer is because they have the ability to actually emit something that resembles a voice. They basically are like cockatoos or any smart parrot that can repeat sounds. But they actually have their own voice. It's quite weird. They're actually really intelligent. Like all dragons are, but because they're hunting. But these dragons are actually more intelligent, like near human intelligence. But not until they can speak English and stuff like that, but they're mostly repeating what they've heard or doing whatever to actually catch their prey. They have, but let's say their prey doesn't really fall for it, so they change their vocal patterns or voice to something else. Then the creature just follows that because it might be like a mother or something or something or another. But let's just say it's able to change its vocal cords and vocal range to actually lure in prey. But let's say the prey won't get down and is actually somehow actually fighting it. And for the record, there's only one way to stop it. The only way is to actually be physically damaged or bump into someone else or anything like that. But it works best with physical damage, and it only works if something like the best way to put it is like it mimics a bear roar, and then another bear roars back, or whatever you want to call it. The bear then will be under its control. It can either lure it toward them or use the bear to bring out some other prey or bring it food. It will most likely lure it, but I've been witnessing a few lazy ones that actually use it as a slave for a few years. But it does give it food, but not really a slave. It really treats it quite kindly. But most these dragons are called monsters or whatever. But in reality, things are just really kind and unsociable dragons. They are also more of a nighttime dragon. Also suffer from insomnia, from what it can appear from. Their wingspan is actually 20 feet, so really small compared to the others. To the last one. But do not let that wing heights fool you. They are still powerful in their own right. But their tail, like most wyverns, is actually a venomous tail. They actually are able to produce a psychological toxin that actually makes the opponent fall asleep. They mostly use that as a defensive attack. But they also use it to actually knock out their prey if it's big enough, and use that to incapacitate it so they can eat it. So, let's get to the next one. I just want to say that I hope y'all enjoy these videos, and also I really enjoy making them for y'all. Also, it will be a huge help if y'all can actually hit the like button and subscribe button, because very few of y'all actually subscribe to my channel. So, now let's get back into this video. Let's go. Now, another dragon is... The next one we're going over is a pure dragon. Like a full-on dragon that has 4 legs and 2 wings. This dragon is actually more on the medium size range. Still more like a medium-large range, but still pretty small compared to some bigger dragons. This dragon is known as the Flame-Controlling Armored Dragon, or Flame-Controlling Dragon. They're also known to be huge douchebags, just like the smirking douche spear. But they are also quite famous for their power. I have done my own x-rays of their magical glands, and it's like every other dragon I've seen something like this. The magical glands actually spread across the body like a nervous system, but it's next to the heart, actually. It can actually spread everywhere. It spreads off to the face, the mouth, the arms, the paws, even the wings. It doesn't go onto the actual wing part because that fire will actually singe up the wings. But they actually are able to ignite a flame from their tail. They mostly use these to run offensive and defensive attacks. The reason why they're called armored is because their upper body is plated in biological armor. The backside is also pretty heavily armored, but it's not really armored at all. It's more or less just a weak spot. But don't let that fool you, it's still really tough. I'm talking like the average sword or spear will just bonk off of it like it's made of plastic or wood. So yeah, you're going to need some type of heating sword, or very strong sword, or anything really besides the average sword to break through the plating. I've actually had to hunt one of these things because it was terrorizing the nearby areas, but meh, it was actually relatively simple to take care of. It was actually a really powerful one, but since there were actually other adventurers nearby, and some people taking it on, they were getting their butt handed to them, but they were still chipping in some decent damage. I decided to jump in and finish the job for them, which they were actually happy about because they did not want to fight this thing any longer. And managed to kill the thing in about 5 more hits, using quite a few powerful attacks, but nothing on the same power of the cruel sun. Trust me, that is a power that takes a lot out of me. And I have near infinite magic for crying out loud, so you can see how bad it is for me. Now, another thing is these dragons have a 50-foot wingspan, but their body actually goes out an extra 10 feet, so they have a 60-foot long body with a 50-foot wingspan. But they mostly use their pyrokinesis abilities to fly around as well. So, yeah, let's go to the next one. Okay, the last one I'm going over is a drake. These drakes are known to make clones of other dragons and drakes of their kind. They are actually intelligent. They're smart enough to know to actually look at someone and figure out their measurements, which is something they need in order to keep their power and use it. Not really keep it, but use it in general. But their dragon is, in their name, is known as the doubling black and white dragon, but the white's more of a light gray of sorts. Better known as the doubling drake. These drakes rarely ever make copies of themselves, because earlier on they actually go through something that most people count as trauma. From what we've found out, these drakes are actually make clones of other dragons or whatever, and use those to attack. But whenever you're trying to take damage deal damage to the main one, they always leap out of the way, not trying to take damage because their clones are relatively weak. And by punching one a few times, it's gonna go out for. It's just going to go poof, turn into mud, really. This drake is a very speedy drake, but it's still a pretty villainous drake as well. They mostly use it to, their powers to make clones and attack settlements in order to get food or whatever. They are sometimes teaming up with some other more powerful dragons. Some I might be going over sometime sooner or later. But, like I was saying from earlier, these drakes, but they are technically a lot dragon type, but they are known as lizard drakes. Anyways, like I was saying, they go through some trauma of sorts. I witnessed it, and they actually create so many clones when they're younger, they forget who's the real one after they all die off. Because all the other drakes think they are the real drake. It's a weird mindset, but given a few years, they either A, get over it themselves, or B, take damage and realize they're perfectly fine. And then they are just able to remember if they're the real one. And trust me, it's quite impressive to see. It's very rare to see a good one, but when you do, you better want to team it right then and there. I also forgot to mention the lifespan for these other dragons and wyverns. The first one, the power-stopping wyvern, lives to be around 10,000 years. The next one lives to be around 20,000 years. This one, the flame-controlling dragon, lives to be around 30,000. And then this one, actually being, since it's so small, it actually has the longest lifespan, which is a whopping 50,000 years. So, yeah, that's really impressive for such a weird creature. But, like you're already stating, the power-stopping one is actually the most powerful of the three, if you were to ask me. Powerful of the four, if you were to ask me. So, because of that one thing, two things it can do. I've actually been tossed by one of these things. One of them before. I was nearly unconscious. That's all I got for today. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, because that's all I got time for today. Subscribe to your Spike Stormy or Demons Alliance. Goodbye, and peace out, everyone.